There are some things in science that just don't seem to make sense when you first look at them. For example, there's the bear cat, which is neither a bear nor a cat. And then there's the fact that the North Pole is actually a South Pole. Sort of. You see, back in ancient Greece, there were some curious people with quite a lot of time on their hands who found some strange rocks. And of course, they did the logical thing. They put these rocks on boards floating in water. Why they did this, I'm not sure, but it turned out to be rather clever. See, when they did this, the rocks would slowly turn the boards until one part faced north and the other part faced south. And it would always be the same end of the rock pointing north and pointing south. They could move the board around, they could move the bowl around, but sooner or later, one point on the rock would be north and the opposite end would point south. So, naturally, they named the north end of the rock the North Pole, and the south end of the rock the South Pole. What they had discovered were naturally occurring magnets, and by putting them on the boards, they'd accidentally created compasses. Modern compasses work mostly the same way, only instead of a rock on boards in water, it's a magnetized strip of metal suspended on a pin from the center. But of course, with magnets, opposites attract, which means that the North Pole of our compass points north, meaning that the North Pole of the Earth has to be a South Pole. Confusing enough yet? It gets worse. See, the magnetic North Pole, which is actually a South Pole, isn't actually at the geographic North Pole. It's somewhere up in Canada. See, the Earth produces a magnetic field, probably coming from the liquid outer core. Now, this magnetic field protects us from a lot of solar radiation. Some of this slips through near the poles, giving us the aurora borealis and its southern counterpart, the aurora australis. As with almost anything in nature, the magnetic poles fluctuate. They move around. And in fact, they can actually flip. The geographic North Pole will become home to the magnetic South Pole, and vice versa. This has happened many times throughout history. Hasn't happened since the ancient Greeks did their experiments with boards and water, but it looks like it's going to happen again, and probably in our lifetimes. Scientists aren't sure when it's going to happen. It could be next week, it could be decades away. But the poles have been wiggling so much, they think we're gearing up for another flip. And when that happens, there will be a North Pole, at, or at least near, the geographic North Pole. But all our magnetic compasses will point the wrong direction. Just goes to show how there's almost nothing consistent in nature, except for the fact that it's always changing.